A large-scale war has been happening behind the global scene, involving various industries and huge ranks. It is not the kind of war most people are aware of, but a war that involves billions and trillions of money between the two largest economies in the world. It is the trade war between the United States of America and the People's Republic of China, affecting the global trade as a whole, both negatively and positively.
US has the world's single largest economy, accounting for almost a quarter of global GDP, one-fifth of global FDI, and more than a third of stock market capitalization. It is the most important export destination for one-fifth of countries around the world. It is also the largest goods importer in the world. US goods imports from the world total $2.5 trillion in 2019. It imported $434.7 billion of goods from China in 2020, which is equal to 18.6% of US total imports from the same given year.
While China has emerged as a global economic superpower in recent decades, it is now the world's second largest economy, with an estimated GDP of $14.9 trillion as of the year 2020, and the largest exporter by value. The value of China's total exports represent 14.1% of overall global exports, based on the world's total $21.513 trillion for 2021, while its import value amounts to $2.69 trillion by the end of year 2021, with USA being its top trading partner with a value of $521 billion, or 17.2% of China's total exports.
According to the International Trade Center data, ITC 2020 in 2018, the bilateral trade between these countries equaled $683 billion, of which $120 billion and $563 billion were the U.S. exports and imports respectively. The trade war between these two countries started when the large and growing deficit of U.S. with China that amounts to 378 billion US dollar became a major political issue in the country during the 2016 presidential election, and with the victory of former US President Donald Trump in the said election, he revised the USA's foreign economic policies and started the country's protectionist policy towards China, its biggest trade partner.
Imposing sanctions and increase of tariffs and taxes on Chinese products and companies, such as the move made by the USA on July 6, 2018, where the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, or CBP, begins collecting a 25% tariff on 818 imported Chinese products, valued at 34 billion US dollar. They released a third list of tariffs on July 10, 2018, of over 6,000 commodities originating in China worth 200 billion US dollar, which will be subject to a 10% tariff, which was actually changed to 25% on August 12, 2018. The addition 44 Chinese entities to USA's export control list that pose a significant risk to U.S. national security made by U.S. Department of Commerce. In retaliation, China took measures by imposing a 25% tariff on 545 goods originating from the U.S. worth of $34 billion, including agricultural products, automobiles, and aquatic products. The most affected industries by the trade war
are the automobile sectors, specifically the United States automobiles industry, where U.S. automakers like Tesla Incorporation bear the brunt of the trade tension between the countries. Another industry that was greatly affected in the tech industry, which chip makers and electronic manufacturers depends on China for sales, like Nvidia Corporation, Micron Technology, and Intel Corporation. While Chinese tech companies such as Huawei are banned from cooperating with US companies such as Google. Agriculture is also included in the industries affected by the trade war of both countries, with the increase of tariffs towards soybeans imported from USA and China turning to countries like India and Brazil to meet its demand.
However, with the trade war between US and China come some negative and positive effects on the rest of the world. The trade war caused economic pain on both sides and led to diversion of trade flows away from both China and the United States. A September 2019 study by Moody's Analytics found that the trade war had already cost the US economy nearly 300,000 jobs and an estimated 0.3% of real GDP. While more recent research from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York and Columbia University found that US companies lost at least $1.7 trillion in the price of their stocks as a result of US tariffs imposed on imports from China. Meanwhile, the US goods trade deficit with China that was the main excuse for the trade war continued to grow, reaching a record of $419.2 billion in 2018. By 2019, the trade deficit had shrunk to $345 billion, roughly the same level as 2016. Largely as a result of reduced trade flows, it should be noted that while the US deficit with China decreased, its overall trade deficit did not. Trump's unilateral tariffs on China diverted trade flows from China, causing the US trade deficit with Europe, Mexico, Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan to increase as a result. China also felt economic pain as a result of the trade war, though apparently not enough to capitulate to the Trump's administration core demands